And good evening and welcome to this inaugural gubernatorial debate 2022. This is Machakos County edition. Welcome to the program. My name is Oloo. Now, Machakos County has attracted a total of 5 contestants in this year's general election. And I am glad to inform you that we extended the invite to all the aspirants to come to this particular debate. But so far, only 5 have managed to make it. However, we have got an apology from the 2. Now, we have the very contestants will be allocated a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to their questions and another 1 minute for a rebuttal. The rules of the debate is simple. To the audience, there'll be no cheering, no clapping, and this is only meant to give all the contestants an ample time to respond that will be asked by the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, on stage, I have to my right, Engineer Peter Maliti of Maendeleo. Let's welcome him on stage, ladies and gentlemen. In front of me is Mulwa of Empowerment and Liberation Party, the only lady. And finally, I have got Nzioka Waita of Cha Uzalendo. Ladies and gentlemen, let us contact. Thank you so much. But before we continue, I'm glad to tell you I'm not alone. I am with my colleague Nancy Oku. Is on the other side of the audience to give us what we should expect. Nancy, over to you.
Naam, shukran sana mwenzangu Victor Oloo, na bila shaka mtazamaji, kama ilivyo kawaida ni kwamba wananchi wamezoea kwamba wakati wa kampeni wananchi ama wale viongozi wanazungumza nao kupitia kwenye mikutano ya hadhara, lakini leo hii hapa KBC tumewapa wananchi hasa wakazi wa Machakos ile fursa tu ya kuzungumza na wale viongozi, kuuliza maswali ambayo wanayo na kuuliza wale viongozi, je, wanawaletea mabadiliko yepi katika county. Na hivyo basi kwenye upande huu kama unavyoona ni kwamba wananchi wamejitokeza kwa wingi ili kuwauliza wale viongozi ama wale wawaniaji maswali ambayo wanayo, na nitakuwa nazungumza nao baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu. Lakini kwa sasa na kurejesha kwake mwenzangu Victor Oloo.
Thank you so much, Nancy, and we are getting the show on the road. To start with you, Nzioka Waita, you left a lucrative job at the State House. You were the Chief of Staff. At the same time, you are heading the lucrative job of the Presidential Delivery Unit to run for this particular job. Why?
As I said before, I have spent 7 years doing development. I have spent 15 years doing management at the highest level. After working for President Uhuru Kenya, spearheading all the development projects for the government, I could see the impact of development on the people. And I felt that with all the experience and the exposure that I had, I have an opportunity to come home and work for the people of Machakos and help them to achieve the level of development that I have seen in other parts of Kenya. So for me, it's not about the salary. It's not about the prestige of the job. It's really just saying I have had an opportunity. God has given me the exposure to work at the highest level of government. And he did this for a reason. And I believe that reason is because he wanted me to come and share that knowledge, experience, and skills with the people of Machakos.
Thank you so much. Coming to you, Mulwa, why do you run for this particular seat?
Thank you very much, KBC, for organizing this program. Thank you very much, the audience, those who are here and those tuned all over the country, and Machakos in particular. I'm grateful and thankful for taking your time to come and listen to us. Me, as Mulwa, born in Machakos, grew in Machakos. I am a business person, a medical person by profession, and I decided to come and seek for this seat of governor because I have gone round, I have seen information, and I found out Machakos people are being neglected. We are near the capital city, and I realized our youth are suffering. They have no jobs. Yet, as public service, we are supposed to give them services, and only to realize services have become private services. And that's why after going around at 10, at 2, I find youth sitting on trees. Others are already drunk. And I found, as a mother of 4 grown-up people, that there is a need. We'll need a leader who is going to be all inclusive and bring the youth on board. Our mothers are fetching water with jelly cans this time. We used to do it in 70s and 80s. They are still doing that. I find it's not. When I went around schools, children are going still to school without shoes. Without shoes. When we used to go in 70s without shoes. It touched me, and the leader of Empowerment and Liberation Party, I decided to take the first row. I've been in politics before, since 1992.
Thank you.
And 2007 up to now, and I decided, instead of playing politics behind the scene, I come to the front seat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, we invited all the 5 aspirants, but as you can see, only 3 showed up. Wavinya did not show up as Honorable Johnson Mudhama. I have got Waita Nzioka, Prof. Mulwa, as well as Engineer Francis Maliti. That is a point of clarification. Now, over to you, Engineer Maliti. Why do you want to be the governor of Machakos County?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for bringing us here. 2, I want to say that I want to become the governor of Machakos County because I have had the opportunity to serve the people of Machakos in various capacities for the last 9 years, and I'm just about to do 10 years. Through my service in the 9 years that I've been serving them, I have identified their needs. I have identified with them, and I have understood the needs of Machakos people in terms of socio-economic development, and therefore I'm the best person to design a method, a way of ensuring that we move Machakos people to the next development level. I have a vision for them. I envisage a situation where Machakos youth will walk into companies and get employment, and envision a situation where Machakos youth will employ themselves. I envision a situation where every family in Machakos will access affordable health care. I envision a situation where every family will be able to put food on the table. I also envision a situation where every child in Machakos County will be able to access quality and affordable education. I also envisage a situation where every man and woman will be able to walk out of their houses and engage in gainful employment or economic activities. This I will deliver through an 8-pillar agenda, which after some time I will be able to put to the audience.
Thank you. Back to you, still, Engineer. Machakos County is a county, as you know, has an annual allocation of around 12 billion shillings from the national government. How will you ensure that you use this allocation to serve the people of around 1.4 million as per the 2019 census?
That allocation of 12 billion, we need to make Wananchi understand how it is utilized. First of all, I want to say that that money is divided into 2. 1, recurrent expenditure. 2, development expenditure. And our recurrent expenditure, in our recurrent expenditure, we spend around 8 billion out of the 12 billion. And therefore, what goes for development is 4 billion. That 4 billion is what we divide so that it goes to infrastructure, health, water, energy, and so forth. Out of my experience as a finance minister, I've realized that we need more money so that we can be able to do more development in Machakos County. And when I become the governor, I will expand our revenue base to ensure that we have more resources to put into development. That can only happen if we identify more revenue sources, because the resources that we get from the national government are not
first of all, 1 billion shillings to automate the entire revenue collection system of Machakos County so that nobody has to use any manual method of paying tax. Number two, I will keep the 10%. That is 2 billion shillings. 2 billion shillings dedicated to our health services to support the health infrastructure. I will then 800 million shillings that I will use for county development at ward level. I will allocate to all towards 20 million shillings. I will also set aside another 20 million shillings for each of the 20 nominated MCAs so that we develop our county from the bottom up. And this way I am very careful with my words, because it is so important for MCAs to have the resources to do their work at the grassroots. And that is how I will use my money. I will also ask myself, how is it possible that the county government of Machakos is spending 80% of the 12 billion shillings on salaries with nothing to show for it in terms of services in our county? So I will make sure that I will improve the terms of service for the current employees so that they are more productive. I will generate the target of on-source revenue so that we achieve at least 5 billion shillings in 2022-2023 financial year in on-source revenue. I will then use that money to build the county of Machakos.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And just to warn the audience that please, rule of the game is no clapping, no cheering. Let's give them their time to articulate their points. Thank you so much. Coming to you, Engineer. Do you understand Chapter 6 of the Constitution?
Yes.
If you do, what about it?
Yeah, Chapter 6 is about values and integrity of public servants. That's how I understand it. And just to explain, all public servants are expected to have integrity. All public servants are expected not to abuse their offices because of the positions that they are holding. Mm-hmm. And all public servants are supposed to take care of government resources and assets.
Thank you so much. That was a brief one. All right. Coming to you, Rose. Chapter 6 of the Constitution, do you understand it fully?
Understand integrity is very important. And I also want to say Article 1 of the Constitution, it's very dear to me because power belongs to the people. Power belongs to the people. Leave alone integrity of us. And another thing, it is a right for every Kenyan and every Machakos resident to have access to clean water, health, and all other services. I'm saying this with due respect. If power belongs to you, according to the Constitution of Kenya, Article 1, this power, people of Machakos, I want to tell you, you have the power to decide how you use these resources, as we are talking now of 12 billion shillings. And one thing I want to say, and without due respect, after going around, and I'm building on the 12 billion, after going around, there is nothing to show for the 12 billion shillings. When You assess water situation is in a mess. There's no water. Food, people are starving. They have no food. And you wonder, Kenya, Machakos, which is in Kenya, Machakos is not a desert. Machakos has no winter. Yet, any delay of rain, only for a short time, there is famine. And the worst part of it, it is famine without money. It is not good for us. You have no money, you have no food. It is very unfair. And then not to mention the health services. Even this money we are talking about, 12 billion. Planning first, I have to clear that I want a good stock taking to make sure that any pending bills, contractors who have been doing work for the county and have not been paid, I would like them to be paid and I clear them first so that I can know where I am, so that I can know where I'm going. It's very important to me. After that, we'll sit and know integrity is very important. We have to preach and do what we are preaching. And I want to say with all due respect, Machakos people are hard-working people. We lack nothing in Machakos. Money is there, natural resources are there, and human resources is there. There is nothing I'm bringing from anywhere else apart from the skills of accountability, of transparency, and to be approachable. To be approachable. You don't need to use an MCA to come to me as a governor.
Thank you.
You can reach me direct.
Thank you. Coming to you, Nzioka, Chapter 6 of the Constitution is clearly stipulated in the Constitution. Do you understand it, and how do you intend to use it if you're elected?
Number one, I understand that the constitutional threshold for public finance is that we should uphold integrity, we should uphold ethics. For you to hold public office, you should not be somebody with questionable character, past criminal conduct, adversely mentioned in land-grabbing cases in places like Athi River and Mavoko. You must not be in a situation where officers working in your staff directly reporting to you are in the newspapers for having stolen 500 million shillings from the county government of Machakos. You should be in a situation where when the County Assembly of Machakos has impeached members of this administration, including the sitting member, Cabinet Secretary for Finance, who is sitting here and presenting, they have all been censured by the County Assembly. They were asked to step aside. They are currently serving by way of court. I want to ask the people of Machakos, look very carefully at the integrity of the leaders that you want to elect. Managing public resources requires leaders who are not having ethical confusion about whether public money can be used for their private purposes. I am very clear that I will not allow any officers serving under my administration to pilfer public resources, to misuse and abuse their offices, and to fail to serve the public in the way that they deserve to be served. That is how I understand Chapter 6.
Thank you so much. Coming to you, Engineer Maliti, how do you intend to fund your development project should you be elected governor of Machakos County?
Thank you for that good question. One, I have just explained that Machakos budget, annual budget is 12 billion. And out of experience, I've said that we have been allocating 4 billion out of the 12 billion for development. That 4 billion is not sufficient. So to be able to do development, we need to expand our revenue base. And this we can do by, one, automating our revenue collection system. And we are already in the process of doing that. We have also mapped the entire Machakos County and identified areas where we can be able to collect revenue, and we are not collecting at the present. In Mavoko, it is true we have a potential to collect more money, but we have a challenge because most of the land in Mavoko does not have titles, but only have allotment letters. In order to be able to collect more money in Mavoko, we are going to do what is known as evaluation roll, because the last time evaluation roll was done for Machakos was in 1987, very many years ago. It's fairly a technical job. So we'll do evaluation roll so that those people who are owning land within Machakos County can pay slightly more to the county, because when they pay slightly more, they will be able to get those roads they are demanding, those tarmac roads they are demanding. The other issue is that we are going to regularize some of the areas where the title deeds have not been issued, because there are areas where in Mavoko people are built without regard to survey. So we are going to work with the national government to ensure that those surveys are regularized, those people are issued with the titles, and immediately they are issued with the titles, we will start collecting more revenue from them. Otherwise, in the other rural areas, the situation is different. You can only collect revenue from business people, and I don't wish to tax Mama Boga, because if you look at what Mama Boga earns per day, there is nothing you can be able to collect from them as revenue. We must be able to build their capacity to expand their businesses so that they can reach a level where we can be able to collect revenue from them.
Thank you so much. Coming to you, Rose, how do you intend to fund your development projects if you will be elected as the next governor of Machakos County?
Thank you very much for that. It's a good question. First of all, I want to say I'll do a stock taking first. Now we know from the sitting deputy governor, the funds released by the national government is 12 billion, but I still feel there's much more we can collect from revenue collection, because I had a meeting with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, the chairman, and they told me per year they release 13 billion, but apparently what is declared is 2.3. I have no facts on that. I have to do fact finding, and if that is true, then it is a matter of streamlining the revenue collection, because if we streamline it and use it properly and we stamp out corruption and we become accountable to every cent, that is a lot of money for me to organize, to invest. And I also plan to start industries for the county government factories. For example, we have seen some factories at the river, they are going under, and instead of going under and being bought by people from outside the county, I'll make sure that this county government is going to buy and own those industries. One, it will create employment for the youth and those who want to work, and it will increase our revenue. The other thing is, if we become active and we become honest with the little we have, without corruption, it is going to attract investors to come and set factories in our county. And I work in collaboration with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, because we all know that people are leaving industrial area, Nairobi, and they are coming out to the outskirts. Machakos, because of the proximity to the capital city, they will definitely come and work and set their industries in Machakos. And I think, I'm sure Machakos, we have got very educated people. People are capable, it's only they lack opportunities. I also want to say that we are going to I'll open talent centers, because me as a contractor and developer, we lack electricians, technicians, we lack plumbers, we keep on getting them from other places. We can open technical institutions where we such training so that our people can generate income.
Thank you so much. Engineer Maliti, you've been mentioned, and she's mentioned you as a sitting deputy governor. Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to put some records straight, because when we are coming to this debate, we need to have gotten some information about or how the counties operate. Our expenditure, like I said in the morning, is divided into two. Recurrent is what goes to paying salaries. That is not development. And development expenditure is what goes towards development. So I think my worthy competitor needs to understand the difference before even asking for to become the governor of Machaco, because that's tricky. The other issue, she has said that there is no water, no food, no money, no health service. I disagree, because since 2013, the county government was established, we found only 20 in Machakos County. Today, we have sunk over 660 boreholes in Machakos County. And if you go to the villages, you will find women fetching water, free water. However, since the boreholes are equipped with the solar, and the pump, that solar pumps the water from the underground using a machine. Occasionally, we have some pumps failing, and therefore a borehole remains without water for some time before we can be able to get money to be able to repair that. I also want to disagree with my friend Waita. He has said 80% of our budget goes towards salaries. No, he needs to research. He needs to research. Only 55% goes towards salaries, but we have intent to reduce that to the statutory 35%. And that can be done if we expand the revenue base outside any of our employees. We just need to increase the amount of revenue that we are collecting, and then the percentage goes down to that 5%.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Nzioka, Waita, you've heard what they've said, and my question is still to you that how do you intend to finance your development project if you come 9th of August?
Number one, we must stop corruption in the county. If you go to the sub-county of Mavoko and you go specifically to Mudwani, Joska, that area where the quarrying activity happens, every day 200 lorries leave carrying concrete to deliver to all the construction sites within Nairobi, as far as Kiambu, Murang'a, and Kajiado. Each lorry is supposed to pay 3,000 shillings per trip. That would amount to a daily revenue of 9.1 million shillings, daily revenue of 9.1 million shillings, monthly revenue of 300 million shillings, and an annual revenue of 3.2 billion shillings from quarrying alone. This same county government, headed by the gentleman across there, reported in their last financial year that on-source revenue from quarrying in Mavoko generated 156 million shillings. So where did the other 2.9 billion shillings go? So I will make sure that 2.9 billion shillings is found. Number two, there has been a mention of boreholes. If there were 670 boreholes in Machakos County, that would mean every sub-county, every ward would have 17 boreholes. Today I have spent the day in Kango, no borehole. I went to Kango, no borehole. I went to Milungani, no borehole. I was in his home in Kidimani in Yatta, a place called Kaulukuni, no borehole. I was in a place called Kampiandege in Kidimani in Yatta. A company of foreigners, Americans, have come to give our people water. So where are these 670 boreholes? I will make sure in my administration that the first thing is sign up with the Nairobi with the Kenya Revenue Authority to replicate what they have done with the Nairobi Revenue Service. I want to remove the business collection for individuals who are paying that. I want to make sure that all revenue collected in the county, without increasing even 1 shilling of rates, comes into the county. I want to implement the NAMSIP program for the Mavoko Township, the Tala Township, and the Machakos Township to make sure that zoning, city planning is done properly so that businessmen can do business and make money. That is how governments make money. Our job is to facilitate law and order, and I will do that, and I will get the on-source revenue in addition to what they're generating, an additional 5 billion in the next financial year.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Your 2 minutes is up. Engineer, you have been accused. Do you have any response to that before I come to you, Madam Rose?
First of all, I think my other competitor, Bwana Waita, has spent a lot of time in Nairobi and may not understand Machakos County. And I think that is why he's saying he walked into Kangundo and did not find a bore. There is a bore just near the hospital. There is a bore in Masewani. I'm talking about Kangundo. A bore in Matetani. All those bores are operational. What are you telling us? If they are not, they are taking water from where? You have also talked about my own place, Kalokuni. And you have said there is a bore in Kalokuni. I think you stepped in the market, and all bores are not drilled in the market. There are some bores which are drilled in the schools, and the water is served to the markets. So you could not be able to see the bore. Two, as an engineer, I doubt whether if we drill a borehole and we do not put a tank there, we reticulate the tank, the water very far. You may not be able to tell that there is a borehole. If the tank is taken very far, you will only be able to see a metal pipe put on the ground. So, Bwana Waita, I think in this debate, let us also be factual so that we can talk to Machakos people, because it is true, we have sunk 660 boreholes. Some, I agree, may not be operating now because of technical issues, but the Machakos people are taking water wherever it is free, because it is solar powered.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you. Yes, Madam, you're the only lady here. You're getting fire from both ends. What's your response to that?
I think somehow I concur with Mr. Waita, because I've also traversed the whole Machakos County. And I'm not even going far. The wholesale market here, which is a few kilometers from the Deputy Governor's office, had no water at all. Toilets were blocked. And me, I did not wait until I office in August. I engaged 50 people. I paid them, supplied water with a bulldozer. They cleaned the market. Pipes were blocked, and the pipes were blocked 1 year. And I even installed a water tank there. And every week I'm supplying water to that water tank. Not to mention, even Kariobangi. There is a Kariobangi here in Machakos County town. They have no water. I've installed a 10,000 liter water tank, and I'm giving them water. That we are now talking within the Machakos County, a few kilometers from the governor's office. Now, if those ones are lacking water, what are about the people at Ndidhini? I went to Ndidhini, there is no water. You talk, I went to Masinga, no water. Everywhere I go, Madam, Mama, water, water. That means when you hear people crying for the same thing, there is, when you see smoke, there is fire. Another thing, which we are being told health services are there. Then a woman dies walking 5 kilometers in labor. She's going to maternity. That maternity, there is none. I decided to walk to that hospital at Ndidini Masinga, the far end. I find a medical doctor sitting alone in the hospital. I asked him, my brother, people in this area, they don't become sick. He told me, I'm just serving the government. And he was different. I told him, continue serving the government. Yet, that same week, a child beaten by a snake, and they have to go to Muranga for medical services. People at Matungulu North, they are going to Kiambu, that is Thika, for medical services. People of Masinga, near the neighboring ward, sub-county of my friend, they go to Kitui for medical treatment. Tell me, I met people at Muya Hills here. They told me there is a boho, but only are supposed to use that boho. The residents, they have to go to the dam. They say, hospitals, they are not big. I'm telling you, what we are saying, services are not with the people. They are in the books, but they are not with the people. Something must be done about this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I come to Nzioka Waita, Engineer, people are moving from one country to another and health is devolved, as she alleges.
It is practical for that to happen because there are people who are coming from Makueni County to get health services in Machakos. Equally, there are people who are within the borders. Within the borders. Yes, within the borders. Who are also moving from Machakos to Kitui to get health services. I want to explain the kind of challenge that we have in health services. It is a systemic problem. One, when we took a budget to the county assembly for health to be approved, they did not approve the kind of budget that is expected to take us for a full financial year. So when we realized they didn't do that for this financial year, because you realize the other financial years we didn't have that problem. So when they realized they had done a mistake, they requested that we do a supplementary budget. We have done. In that supplementary budget, we are requesting for more resources. We are requesting, they approved only 3 billion.
Nancy Okwari, who is standing by on the audience. Nancy, do you have any question from the audience?
Na shukran sana mwenzangu Victor Oloo. Bila shaka wawaniaji wamezungumza, lakini aliye na usemi wa mwisho ni mwananchi. Manake atakapoelekea pale debeni Agosti 9 ni yeye ambaye atamchagua kiongozi ambaye anahisi atayuliongoza ama ataongoza kaunti hii kwa njia bora zaidi. Na hivyo basi tu ningependa kupata maoni na maswali ya baadhi ya wananchi ama wakazi kutoka katika eneo hili. Kuna mmoja hapa ambaye tutazungumza naye angalau kupata swali kisha tutapata mengine. Tueleze jina lako na swali lako ni lipi leo hii. Tutaangalia kamera pale.
Mimi naitwa Fino Mondi, an ICT professional. Now my question to you governors is this. It's about infrastructure. We have a big problem in the country whereby we install infrastructures and after a short time they are not able to function. Now look at what has happened right now. There is CCTV all over Machakos County, but it's not working. So what is your plan about the infrastructure? I'm talking about sewerage, drainage, water, the roads and everything. Right now, many of them are not working. So what is your plan about installing quality infrastructure that is going to last? And then what is your plan on maintaining the infrastructure that you install? Thank you.
Na shukran sana kwa swali hilo. Kabla ya kuendelea pengine tupate jibu kutoka kwa Mheshimiwa Maliti kisha tutapata kutoka kwa wengineo. Mheshimiwa Maliti, tupate jibu lako kuhusiana na hilo swali.
Thank you. I think it was Nyanguti. That's a good question, and I want to say from my experience that we need to allocate more money for maintenance of infrastructure. And from my education and training, I know when you have an asset worth about 100 million, then you need to set aside 20% of that for maintenance. But because of resource constraints, because there are competing needs and priorities, many counties, and even Machakos is affected, we have not been allocating a lot of money for maintenance of such infrastructure. But when I become the governor, I will ensure that such monies are allocated, because I've talked about expanding the revenue base so that we can be able to get more financial resources.
Thank you.
I will also ensure that all the contractors that are putting up our roads do it properly and ensure that we get value for money.
Thank you so much. Coming to you, Nzioka, Waita, just to respond, you've been so quiet. I'm asking, where have you been? All right, so how do you respond to that question from the audience?
Ya kwanza ni kusema hivi, serikali ambayo iko usukani sasa ina sarakasi mingi sana, na nyinyi mnaijua. Mradi wa kuweka CCTV kamera ilikuwa ya kupotosha wananchi. Haikukaa hata mwaka moja, zikaharibika zote. Muungwana mwenye amekuwa governor wa county alituambia atajenga barabara kuanzia Mwala mpaka Kidimani, na itajengwa kwa haraka sana. Ukienda kuona hiyo barabara siku ya leo, lami imetokana. Daraja ni nyepesi sana, gari mbili hawezi kupita. Ukiwa peke yako usiku utavamiwa na wezi ukipita hiyo daraja. Ukifika upande ya kwenda Yata, barabara imetokana kabisa. Na hizi ndio shida ya siasa ya sarakasi. Tukiwa usukani, sisi tutafanya miradi ya maendeleo ya ukweli. Kazi ya security ni kazi ya serikali ya kitaifa. Kazi yetu ni kuwasaidia. Mimi nitahakikisha kwamba nikiwajengea barabara nitawaambia ukweli. Gharama ya barabara ndio hii. Barabara ya kuanzia Kangundo kuenda Mwala itakuwa na hii gharama, na tutatafuta wanakandarasi ambao wanajua hiyo kazi. Kufanya kazi ya ku-maintain na kuhakikisha kwamba zile miradi ambazo serikali inajenga inalinda, tutafanya hiyo kazi. Ukisema kwa mfano, na mwenzangu ameongea kuhusu hospitali, ati watu wanatoka Makueni kuja hospitali katika kaunti ya Machakos. Hiyo tena ni kuendeleza hiyo utapeli hii serikali imetupatia. Ukienda Muthesia, Ndithini, hao watu wote wanaenda kupata matibabu kaunti ya Murang'a. Ukienda Mavoko, watu wote wanaenda kupata matibabu huko Lucy Kibaki. Hapa leo nimetoka hospitali ya Kangundo level 4. Maneno ya dawa, hakuna madawa. Tuko na shida katika hospitali yetu ya level 5. Hata mwezi haijapita tangu wagome kwa sababu hawajalipwa, hawana vifaa na hawachungwi na serikali yao. Nataka niwaambie hivi, hata kama ni kutafuta kiti na usukani, tusiwatapeli wananchi na mambo ya maendeleo, tafadhali.
Nancy?
Shukran sana Bwana Waita kwa kujibu swali hilo, na vilevile wale wawaniaji wengine. Kuna wananchi zaidi ambao wana maswali, hivyo basi nitachukua mawili ya mwisho pengine sababu ya muda. Tueleze jina lako kisha tutachukua maswali. Jina lako na pengine swali lako ni lipi?
Thank you very much. My name is John Kivuva from this county, actually a few meters from here. Community system strengthening for health specialist, having worked here for many years. My concern is on health issues, which is my area. Devolution came to give the counties leeway to be innovative and creative. But you have operated on the old systems all through. Today, it is immoral and a sin to refer a mother from Ndithini, from Kangundo, for a Caesarean section to Kangundo, to Machakos here. It is easier to fly or to ship or to drive a consultant to those places to attend to those mothers. But you have refused to be creative and innovative because you have refused to take new ideas. And new ideas come from non-state actors and the civil society. And sometimes you develop cold feet. So the new aspirants here, and my friend Maliti, what is your take on the involvement of the civil society and non-state actors in the delivery of health services to the honorable people of Machakos County.
Thank you so much. All right. It seems that question is directed to you, Bwana DG. Why health is devolved as per the Constitution? How do you respond to that? Before I come to you, Madam Rose, how do you respond to that?
First of all, the cost of human resource in the health sector is fairly high because the doctors negotiated for high salaries, and that is how they have been eating into the budget for health. But I agree with him. I agree with him that we need to be more innovative and take healthcare to the villages by a way of ensuring that we have a community outreach. The doctors go to the people and not people coming to see the doctors. So there is need for change of attitude by the doctors. However, I also want to say here, we need to move from curative to what we call as preventive and promotive health, where instead of focusing in expanding the infrastructure in health by constructing buildings, we empower our community health volunteers. Perhaps we make them community health workers so that we can stop people from catching disease, first of all, before we even think of treating them in our hospitals.
Thank you so much.
That is what has happened in the developed world, and that is the kind of shift we should take.
Thank you very much. What about you, Madam Rose?
I just want to comment on this. People of Machakos, we cannot say that we are not represented properly. At the county level, we have the finance. Our deputy governor is a finance officer for the finance in the county. And I heard him say, now I'm going to allocate money for this and that. I wonder why he could not allocate before when he was in the office. So that we could not be, if it was allocated, now you'll be saying, I want to do more on health services. That one, I do not understand. Another thing, when we are talking of, we also been represented very well by the senators of this county. Senators, they are to secure and protect and represent the people of Machakos at another level, at the Senate level, and take our needs there. I wonder, they should be here so that they can tell us what they have done. I go a notch higher. Mr. Waita was representing us. Mr. Waita was representing us at presidential level. And he had access, and he had the ear of the president near there, in his service delivery unit. How come now he wants to tell us he now can bring those services when he's out of that office? He should have seen those roads. I'm sure he has seen highways in some counties. Some counties have got highways which are 20 meters wide. There are bridges in Machakos which are 20 meters long, and they are not being fixed. I went to the area of my friend, the deputy governor, Kibivine, to launch and assist and contribute a building of a bridge where people carrying a coffin, they are being carried by a seasonal river. Children can't go to school. So Mr. Waita should tell us why he never brought the services to us in Machakos when he was in office and he had the president next to him, Nikusema to whisper. That I went to Kirinyaga. The PS there, Kibichu, I respect. That place is so developed. He was under Mr. Waita. He's a senior man. So I'm wondering, now how will he do things different now that there will be a different president? He will be here.
Thank you.
I want to know.
All right. Thank you so much. Just to warn our audience that please, this is a live function, and please, the rule of the game is do not clap, do not cheer. Give all the contestants time to articulate their points. Thank you so much. Coming to Waita, you've been accused that you are working at the top echelon of this government. But as you respond to that, what would be your style of governance if you're elected?
I think there were a number of questions, Victor, that I just really want to tackle. Number one is that no administration has the monopoly of knowledge. There is a reason why civil society exists. Now, I feel that health services is the responsibility of the county government. But we cannot stop from taking ideas, suggestions, and inputs from civil society. The thing that is ailing our health facilities in Machakos County is incompetence. Let me just repeat that. It is incompetence. We have 104 level 1, level 2 facilities. We have 65 level 3 facilities. We have 10 level 4 facilities, and we have 1 level 5 facility. We have 85 doctors, 35 of whom are working, 55 are on study leave. We have a population of 1.4 million people. Our current doctor to patient ratio is 1 doctor to 17,500 individuals, overseen by the administration of Mulwa and Maliti. Number one, let me just emphasize that there are no dawa in the hospitals is a fact. I don't need to say it, it is a fact. That when you go to the level 5 hospital, you will be asked by the medics there to go across the road to the chemist to buy gloves so that you can go and see your patient. That is a fact that is there today. Number two, let me talk to the question of infrastructure and what you do when you work for the president. When you work for the president of Kenya, you work for 47.5 million people. Now, the reason why you have 170 people from Machakos County serving on board parastatals when the Kamba Nation was in the opposition is because I put them there. Number two, the reason why Machakos Level 5 has the latest equipment in MRI, CT scan, dialysis is because I insisted that they must go there. The reason why you have the road from Konza to Kimutwa to Tala to Donyosabuk is because I insisted that it would be built. The reason you have the road from Kenol to Mitaboni to Kadhiani going to Lower Kaiwa is because I insisted that it should be done. Number two, the reason why the Nairobi Expressway begins in Mulolongo and not at JKIA, where it was initially planned, is because Waita made it move. The reason why you have the dual carriageway from Atiriba to Chumbi is because Waita oversaw that project. The reason I want to explain so clearly so that people understand that even when I was in Nairobi,
thank you so much.
I was working for my people and I ensured that their interests were catered for.
Thank you.
And even the governor of this county is a person I assisted time and time again. So I have no apologies to make in that regard.
Thank you so much. All right.
The style of government will be as follows.
All right. Okay.
I will be a consultative governor. I will be a bipartisan governor. I have said this and I have said this before. I want to work with all elected leaders irrespective of what parties they come from. Number two, I want to make sure that the deputy governor of Machakos County is not a flower girl, somebody who just sits to sign things. The deputy governor of this county must be able to show performance and must be able to deliver. I will govern in a way that we will not tolerate corruption and misuse of public resources.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Engineer Maliti, before I come to you, Rose, what would be your system of governance? And before that, you've been accused and you've heard what's happening. So what would be your style of governance if you're elected?
Let me first of all respond to the accusation. One, I want to put it in record that currently I'm not the Minister for Finance and Economic Planning. I moved from that docket when I decided I will vie for the position of the governor. 2, Waita is saying that he negotiated or he pushed for all those roads that he has talked about. I just want to remind him, when you go to State House, Waita, you should have gone into the records and found that one of the people who designed and negotiated for such roads was Francis Maliti, when I was sitting in national government as the director of Vision 2030. These roads were negotiated by leaders from Machakos, elected leaders from Machakos, including Mheshimiwa Munyaka, including Mheshimiwa, and I think we should be Katadha in Kangundo, including Mheshimiwa for Matungulu, Mheshimiwa Mole, including Dr. Alfred Mutua when he became the governor in 2013. So my brother is trying to take credit for things that he has not done. He had a huge opportunity because he was sitting where the money for Kenya is signed. He had a huge opportunity to bring the president of Kenya to Machakos and build a tarmac road of 40 kilometers. And I have one in mind, the one which starts from La Palace in Wamunyu to Kalawa. That, Waita, you are done. The road that moves from Kangundo, which is only 20 kilometers to Mwala, 20 kilometers, you would have had, and many more, would have had such opportunities to help us when you are sitting there. Now that you have come, you are holding nothing. So you cannot tell us that you are going to do better when you had a better opportunity to serve the people of Machakos. I also understand that you have not been dwelling in Machakos, and therefore you may not understand the needs and the problems of Machakos people.
Thank you.
I guess,
my question to
Waita, you need a bit of time.
My question to you, engineer, is that what would be your style of leadership?
Thank you.
What would be your style of leadership?
I was just giving a rebuttal. One, I will not tolerate any corruption in Machakos County. And I want to say so.
Corruption.
I want to say so without blinking. 2, I will ensure that I work with all other leaders, including all elected leaders, including the senator, the members of parliament, the women rep, and the members of county assembly. Because when you are at the top, you need to engage the other leaders so that you can be able to understand the needs of the people that they lead, and they can also help you to lead. 2, I will introduce what is known as Ward Development Fund. I will ensure that each ward is given development money and there is public participation before that money is utilized, so that people can be able to identify their priorities, because the priorities for Maboko are not the priorities for Modesi. The priorities for Kalama are not the priorities for Kadiani.
Thank you so much.
I will endeavor to engage the people in public participation in development matters.
Thank you. Madam Rose, what would be your style of governance come August 8th? And we understand that 2/3 gender rule is one of the key pillars of the Constitution. So what would be your style of governance?
Can you repeat again?
What would be your style of governance if you're elected into office come August 8th?
My style of governance is that the democracy.
Right.
And all inclusive. And I will not take people in general of Machakos. Machakos people, I'm going to group them in women, because there are matters of women which do not affect men. Organized groups. I'm going to have the youth of Machakos to come on board with me and tell them we are getting a second chance. And I'm saying this with due respect. I happen to be the only governor who is seeking a position, who has taken a running mate who is under 35, a youth. Aside that, I have got the youth at heart, and I want them to be all inclusive. I'm not going to forget the old people, the retired people. One day, all of us will be old, and our old people have been neglected. They were productive one time, and another time they are left there. All we do is, when they die, we go to bury them, and they say he was a good man, he was a good woman. Yet that person died with a rope around their stomach, without food, without water, with nothing. I have a plan for the elderly and the retired people. About the business community, I want them to be their stakeholders. I'm saying every residence of Machakos. I'm not saying every Mukamba in Machakos, because Machakos is a cosmopolitan place where people from all corners of the country, tribes, they come to Machakos. So I'm calling all the residents of Machakos, they will be included. And very important, I want us to plan even for the unborn children, so that when unborn children come, they find all the structures in order. They want to find good schools, because first of all, I must prepare myself for the CBC curriculum, because we were having 844, and parents had challenged paying school fees. Now CBC, it is more demanding because the demands for finances has gone up. I want to have a system that there is no child who will miss school because lack of school fees. I'll make sure that all the administrators of the...
Okay. Thank you. Before I come to you, Waita, you've talked about CBC, and one of the government's agenda is to have 100% transition. And it said that Machakos County has the lowest level of transition. Does that worry you?
I'm telling you, it is going to be very difficult, because when I went around, all the demands of the people of Machakos, and I give them my number, because I told them there will be no bridge between me and them. I give my personal number to any resident of Machakos I meet. They are calling me for school fees. Right. And the school fees for primary school is, I think it's less than 2,000 per term. But there is now the demand of CBC. Because of this CBC, I'm planning to develop and establish technical institutions, so that when these children go to school and they cannot proceed to higher education, we can give technical training. I want to have a system where we can afford, and I think we can afford. Machakos is very rich. We pay primary education for all the children in primary schools, so that we can alleviate the suffering of our parents. The thing is, the COVID affected economy, and people are really suffering. I've got a plan, and I want to have all the facts about the income, about our budget, so that I can see whether I can assist the parents not to pay with school fees in primary schools.
Thank you.
And I think it is possible.
Thank you so much.
Doable.
Thank you very much. Coming to you, Nzioka. The issue of 100% transition is a big deal to the government. CBC is here to stay. And you worked at the highest point of this land where decision-making about education is made. Does it worry you that Machakos County is said to be having the lowest rate of 100% transition to high school?
Let me start by saying a couple of things. Number one, Maliti is my neighbor in Nairobi, so we live near each other. Number two, I also know he used to live in Nakuru and just moved to Machakos the other day. So we know Machakos just the same way as each other. As I carry on, the issue of CBC and the 100% transition, as you know, the government has allocated 8 billion shillings to assist in the infrastructure program, which is part of the biggest challenge we face with transition, is that there needs to be more classroom space for these children as they progress into secondary school. Now, the challenge we have in Machakos is a lack of unity of purpose. I feel, and I have sat with the County Education Board leadership, I have sat with the leadership of NAT, with KEPSHA and KESHA, and we have agreed as follows. The county government led by my administration will sit with the sitting members of parliament to find a way to supplement the CDF that they have portioned for education. We will find a way to strengthen the components that are strictly within the devolved mandate, which is to make sure that the ECD enrollment, I don't know if you're aware, the current ECD enrollment at the moment is 50%. It means there is another 57,000 children who have not gone into ECD. So I need to get them into ECD and first deal with the transition problem of ECD into pre-prep, into primary school. That is something we can deal with. On the issue of primary school and secondary transition, I think it cannot be done without collaboration of elected leaders at all levels, because our members of parliament, our women rep, sit on significant resources that we as county governments need to supplement. So number one, county governments need to step in to supplement bursary programs. Number two, county governments need to step in to supplement scholarship programs. Number three, county governments need to take an interest in the welfare of teachers, because any loss of education across the board is a loss for the entire county of Machakos. The fact that Machakos County could not produce one school in KCSE in the top 150 schools in Kenya should tell you we have a serious problem with education in the county.
Thank you so much for your time. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, at this particular point, I'm going to give you a minute each so that you can ask either of your worthy opponent a question of your choice. Starting with you, Engineer Maliti, you can either ask Rose Mulwa or Waita any question of your choice. One question starting with you, then I'll come to you, Rose, and then lastly, I'll come to Waita. Starting with you, Engineer, one question to either of them.
I want to ask Madam whether she is aware that primary and secondary education is not devolved, and therefore there are no resources sent to the counties for purposes of supporting primary and secondary education. The counties only focus on ECD, youth polytechnics, but the primary schools, the secondary schools and universities.
What is the question to her?
So I'm asking her whether she's aware that primary and secondary education is not devolved.
Yes, Rose?
I'm aware of all that, but what I'm saying is that if we streamline and stamp out corruption, the revenue collection will be enough to support primary and secondary education, irrespective of government not giving us support on that. There is more than enough, but it is being diverted to other areas. That money, which some of us politicians we are dishing out, it is not somebody's salary. It is the money for the people of Machakos, which they never got during the last 10 years of leadership. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. At this particular point, I also give you time to ask either of them a question. Go ahead.
I want to ask a very simple question, and this is it.
To who?
I will ask each one a question.
Go ahead.
I will ask one.
Yes.
I ask one. Yes. I wish I could be allowed to ask both of them, each one of them. But
you have 1 minute. You have 1 minute. Just ask either of them, either or engineer.
I'm asking.
Go ahead.
Mr. Maliti, our deputy governor. You have been in office for the last 10 years. as 9 years or even 5 years, and you still want, things never happened when you are there. And I know if you did not agree with what was happening, I expected you to step out and say, I cannot understand this. In protest, I've resigned. And because I can't understand what is happening. So
what is your question?
My question is, you have served Machakos people for those years, and we are not happy somehow. Why do you want to come again? To make us unhappy?
Okay. All right.
Why do you want to come again and make us,
I guess,
and give us the,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
I guess,
and give us the same services for another 10 years? Can you give us a break?
Thank you. I guess, Engineer, you've answered the question. But then, before you answer that question, let me come to you, Waita, all right? A minute also, because they're so quiet, to ask any of them a question before he answers. Go ahead.
I would like to ask our Deputy Governor for the county of Machakos how he feels when he gets on the road at Koma and he drives through Tala and he goes to Kangundo and he sees all the garbage that starts at the border of Machakos County and Nairobi uncollected for 6 months. How does he feel?
Thank you. Engineer, go ahead. You have got 2 questions from them. Go ahead.
I will start with the first question and say that I've served Machakos County for the last 9 years, but I was not the vision carrier. And I want you to understand this. I was not the vision carrier. And I will give you an example. When the late President Kibaki was serving under President Moi, he became the Minister for Economic Planning, Finance and Economic Planning, and served for 12 years. When Kibaki was given the opportunity in 2002 to become the President of Kenya, there was a big difference in 10 years. What was the other question?
The other question is about the garbage between border of Tala.
The whole of Tala, actually starting from all the way from Mudwani Ward, coming all the way until Tala, Matungulu. It is full of garbage. So the question is all about waste. What does he feel when he passes there and is going to ask for votes?
All right, thank you so much. It's all about waste management in Machakos.
Thank you. I know we have a challenge in waste management in Machakos County, and particularly in the municipalities. We have challenged the minister in charge of urban development to shift from the current policy of the county collecting the garbage to privatizing the garbage collection. And we are in that process of doing that, and I know within a very short time we'll be able to collect all the the garbage, if we introduce or bring the private sector into collection of the garbage.
Thank you so much. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, at this particular point, I'm afraid that we are coming to the end of this, but before we close, I'd love to give all our worthy opponents and the contestants 20 seconds each to give each and every person, because at the end of the day, elections will come and will go, all right? So a message of peace to Kenyans and in general, in particular to people of Machakos County. Starting with you, Waita.
Number one, I want to urge all the residents of Machakos to not take elections as if it is a life and death matter. It is not. Yes. Let us be very peaceful in the way we conduct our politics. I want to tell them this, that if any of my opponents were to win and become governor, I would support them. I do not have a problem with that. And I want to wish my competitors all the best as they go about their campaigns, and let us keep the issues on issues. Let us talk about development, and let us engage the people about what we can do to lift their lives.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Madam Ross, your 20 seconds, please.
Yeah. To the people of Machakos, I want to tell you, you are good people, hard-working people, but I ask you to maintain peaceful elections. Do not fight, do not kill each other, because after we stand here, we go behind the scene, we are shaking hands, we have tea together, but there you are fighting, killing each other. All I can tell you, your vote is your right. Vote and make a choice, which know that every choice has consequences, and you don't need to regret. Come August 9th, 2022, remember to vote Rose Mulwa, and know that you'll be part of my government, and you are stakeholders, and you'll have the change you have been yearning for.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
and
very
God
much.
bless you.
Engineer, your 20 seconds. You're closing.
I want to ask all politicians who are seeking for elective positions in Machakos County not to promote violence, because some of them are hiring goons and ensuring that when you go to a market to campaign, some people make noise so that you look like you are not popular, and yet you are very popular in that particular town or that particular area. So I want to request that we should practice political hygiene so that the people who have the absolute power for electing people can be able to exercise their right. Lastly, I want to humbly request the people of Machakos to kindly consider me for the position of the governor. For the position of the governor on 9th August when they go exercising their right to vote.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of this gubernatorial debate, Machakos County. We would like to thank you, all the three contestants who showed up for this particular debate, starting with you, Waita, coming to you, Rose Mulwa, as well as Engineer Maliti. Thank you so much for coming. Remember that we are going to share this content with all the candidates who did not make it to this particular event. On behalf of my colleague, Nancy Okware, and the entire crew, we say thank you and asante sana, and good night.